I listened to the whole interview. I mean, front to back twice, but I have 3 pages of notes. That might have been the most slept on thing that I never saw anywhere on social media. Kanye West came out and said Patrick Mahomes literally threw the Super Bowl for Tom Brady's 7th ring.
The NFL does not want Patrick Mahomes to surpass Tom Brady. They might want him to be close. They want it to be a story, but I don't think he ever passes Tom because they don't want him to do it.
I need to go back and watch the highlights.
Kanye West had a quote in there. He said, "Why did the NFL want someone with no hits to do the Super Bowl halftime show?" And I thought to myself, you know what? Zachary and I made that same comment when Kendrick Lamar was announced, and the whole internet tried to flame us for it. But now Kanye West, one of the greatest artists to ever live, says it, and everyone's like, huh, he's kind of right.
Welcome to the Real Oshow. I'm Zachary. Joining me as always is my partner in crime, my brother Joshua.
And on today's episode, we break down DJ Akademiks and Kanye West's interview. Then we round it out with Lil Durk's new album, Deep Thoughts. Enjoy.
We on root for greatness. They paper getters, they want money more than they want fame shit. I swear we go so hard, we on A-list. I see my niggas prevailing. We going hard for the hand. We gonna stack that we jaded.
This is a great interview. They doing their thing.
Well, Kanye just hit us with possibly the interview of a century, you could say. He's back doing his thing, but whether you saw the full interview, whether you saw a clip online, Kanye is crazy. He does a lot of wild stuff, but a lot of the stuff he does gets swept under the rug because of the crazy stuff he does. But there's also a lot of truth to what Kanye is saying and what he's actually doing. But when you get labeled as insane, need to be in a mental hospital, bipolar, that obviously is going to make you even crazier, especially when you're actually trying to educate people. So, Joshua, what was your overall feeling of the interview?
One, I want to say that obviously Ye is very polarizing, so everything he does is going to make you feel a certain way. And I actually think that it is very popular. It's the popular thing to do, to just be like, he's crazy, he's batshit, like the things he's saying is crazy. But a lot of the things he does say are crazy, but they're true, you know? And he does talk about certain groups of people that could be looked at as harmful, right? But besides all of that, Ye is being an artist. He's trying to make you feel a certain way, like even from the outfit that he was wearing, everything. And we will get into that in a little bit. But I think the interview, like you said, was at least the interview of the year, interview of the 2020s so far. Yeah. And I just wanted to say shout out to DJ Akademiks because he really took a journalistic approach to this, left it very raw, uncut. Everything was shown. He wasn't hiding things. There was no regular, like, dolled up show. And I think a lot of things happened with that because Akademiks could have made Kanye look worse, like way worse, way bad. Now, people probably looked at that right away and we're going to write it off. And that's why Kanye wore what he wore, because he wanted just the NPCs to be like, oh, this is done, all ready to write him off.
Well, Kanye talked a lot about, during the interview, about how the machine, the invisible hand, as he would say it, has put people against him, which is what you're talking
That's
about. That's
100%.
NPCs, which is what you talked about with NPCs, which are other artists coming out about being like, get your mental health. You know,
it's corporations that are coming out against Kanye, like all the people that have the money and the power. Exactly.
But that's
the machine.
But that's exactly. But it's also average people that aren't educated and or watching the full interview or looking up what he's actually saying and trying to bring awareness to. But that's what he said, is so many people are going to write him off already and already labeled him as crazy, blocked him on social media because of the 40 other things he's done, but don't want to hear when he's actually telling the truth and trying to educate people. So I felt like that whole energy throughout the whole interview. And to be completely frank, I'm starting to like Kanye a lot more because I've never really been a super fan of his music. We did a Donda review and I was like, he should stop making music. But outside of the music part, I'm like a super fan.
No, Kanye is a genius music maker. Just because not every hit is a hit doesn't make you great. Kanye has made all these artists, all these prototypes, the Travises, the Cardis. Those are all because of Kanye. But I do want to get the elephant in the room out of the room, because if you did watch the interview or you didn't watch the interview, if you just saw a clip online or a picture online, or if you just saw our thumbnail for this video, you are going to notice what Kanye West is wearing, which DJ Akademiks, I think, described it as a KKK outfit, and I don't think that's what it was. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm the highest educated person. I know exactly what I'm talking about here. I'm just doing a little bit of research, trying to find some of the Easter eggs that Ye was trying to put out to us. And what I found was that what I believe, and a lot of other people on the internet believe, is the outfit he was wearing is a Cappa Rota. All right, and I might be saying that wrong. A Cappa Rota. It's a type of ceremonial robe that is often associated with certain religions or fraternal organizations. It's typically long, flowing garment, sometimes with a hood, specific designs, and it's worn during formal events or rituals. Now, a lot of people believe that Easter was a week away from the interview, and apparently in a lot of these rituals, they would wear it a week before Easter. And it's like in these black, it's from a certain place. I think it's like Spain, I believe. Again, we're not going to go into the full deep details of what this is because obviously it's very deep. And Kanye, I think, does things to be like, this will get you eventually. Like, you'll get to this eventually. And I
Goes
think
over your head a little bit.
Exactly. I think Ye says a lot of things like that where he's saying it so bluntly, so in a different way that it forces people to be like, oh, that's crazy. That can't be real.
Now that you brought that up, it outside of the hood actually looks like what a priest at a Catholic church would wear. If you take the hood off, like what he was wearing is what if we went to fucking St. Andrew's Church back at our hometown,
that's
the fucking white priest would be wearing.
That's what it is. It's for the Catholic Church. But I also thought it was a double meaning where he was also being the Clayton Bigsby from Chappelle's show, the blind black guy who's in the KKK. That is what I also think he is meaning in a sense where he's like, hey, you guys all want to do things. Like Kanye is the epitome of if you say he can't do something, he's going to do it. And I think that's why he gets like, he has like a lot of like this Jewish hate and stuff. It comes out because people say he can't do that. And a lot of these corporations are owned by Jews. And they're like, don't say that. And he's on, I'll say whatever I want. And that's where I think he gets in trouble for it, where it's like, if you told him, hey, Kanye, I bet you can't love Jewish people. I bet you he'd be like, oh, you want to bet? Like, that's the kind of person
he would go marry a Jewish girl in like a week.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he just is going to do something. It's his artistic view of like, yo, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. I'll wear whatever I want to wear.
Well, he expressed in the interview vividly where he was like, if it makes someone upset, that means that they're weak. That means I have to attack them to make them weak. So when people are speaking out like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, he's like, oh, I know I'm making them weak if I say it. So he's just, I mean, Kanye's going to be talked about for long after he's gone. Like, our kids are going to bring up Kanye, music side, the craziness side, the things he said that no one else was saying. But that's the elephant in the room. That's what makes Kanye brilliant, which is why this interview is crazy. And then I also do want to give flowers to Akademiks. Great job. He was definitely nervous for that interview, and I would be the same because it's like you don't know what to expect with Kanye. He might be setting you up to be like, fuck you, you talk shit about me 6 years ago, I'm gonna fucking sue you. You're like, I mean, you never know what could happen when you're actually getting in the room with Kanye.
Ak wasn't afraid to ask questions either. He was like, oh, well, so the internet would be like, why do you talk shit about Kim if you married her? And he was like, oh, it's on me. Kanye was like, it's on me. Like, I made that mistake. I shouldn't have had kids with her. And that's kind of a crazy.
He said some wild stuff about Kim and Kris Jenner in there that I obviously want to get into. We can get into it now if you'd like, or what.
But we might as well because we're talking about. But Kris Jenner is the cult leader, bro. She is.
Oh my God.
She sold her soul to the devil, dog. She is the reason why the Kardashians are so relevant. Like all of them are so relevant because of Kris. She is the head of the beast.
Yeah, I mean, he said like 3 times that Kim K is controlled by the invisible hand, which is why he doesn't have ownership over his kids, which was a big thing a few weeks back when he found out that he literally doesn't own anything with his kids. Kim K owns the whole thing. And then he also spoke on Iggy Azalea. I don't know if you remember that part, if you saw that part, but Iggy Azalea came here from Australia, went to Miami, now is in LA, and he said her only job as a mom right now is to keep her son away from Kris Jenner. Will not let him get near Kris Jenner because obviously Kris Jenner is bought and paid for, talked about the sex tapes being signed for before they ever got released. Kris Jenner is another mastermind that gets talked about a little bit, but it's probably underrated with what she's able to pull off. But just going out on wax on that, the Kardashian family, I don't know how. I truly don't know how. maybe it's because they have a cult like fan base, how they're still respected and how they're still around when it feels like they are the most bought and paid for, shoved down your throat family of all time.
They're the mob. The Kardashians are the mob of Hollywood. They have bullied their way in. I mean, Kris Jenner has literally maneuvered all the pieces that have made the Kardashians, the Jenners, all of them so big from the moment they stepped into life is because of them. And Kim's kind of stepping into that new role. Kim has become this thing. And Ye's right. When he talks about his children, like, I kind of respect it how, like, North didn't go on Cardi's album because she was like, nah, if he's beefing with my dad, like, I ain't doing it. Like, I kind of respect it because you never know what really goes on in the house. Like, how do Kanye's kids look at him? Like, because everyone is telling them how crazy their dad is. Like, that might play also a role into it. Eventually, it might turn it where they get closer to Ye, but everyone is telling them that. Even online, everyone's saying that.
I mean, Kim's probably saying it.
100%. But everyone they work with, they're probably like, oh, you got to be careful of your dad. You got to be careful to do this. Don't be doing that. And it's like they are getting brainwashed from the highest level. I mean, the schools they are in. I mean, everything.
This might be actually the most underrated thing of the whole interview that might even have went under your radar. Kanye blatantly said that Patrick Mahomes threw the Super Bowl for Tom Brady's seventh ring.
I was going to talk about that. I want to talk about that.
Hey, bro, and I listened to the whole interview. I mean, front to back twice. Bro, I have 3 pages of notes. That might have been the most slept on thing that I never saw anywhere on social media. Kanye West came out and said Patrick Mahomes literally threw the Super Bowl for Tom Brady's 7th ring.
No, listen, we talk a bunch of conspiracy. We talk about a bunch of things. The NFL does not want Patrick Mahomes to surpass Tom Brady. They might want him to be close. They want it to be a story. He might get eventually close to it, but I don't think he ever passes Tom because they don't want him to do it. Now, I'm not having this huge conspiracy like the NFL rigged the game, whatever. You can think whatever you want, but there is a lot of truth to what he said.
I need to go back and watch the highlights. I need to watch the full game.
I think there was a lot. I wrote down a few notes too from this NFL stuff because Kanye West had a quote in there. He said, why did the NFL want someone with no hits to do the Super Bowl halftime show? And I thought to myself, you know what? Zachary and I made that same comment when Kendrick Lamar was announced, and the whole internet tried to flame us for it. But now Kanye West, one of the greatest artists to ever live, says it, and everyone's like, huh, he's kind of right. Horrible halftime show. It was not good. I don't care the subliminal messages that were in it. Whatever. It was not good. Drake would have knocked the Super Bowl 100 times better than that. He could have put his C-list songs on there and it would have been better.
And then to add on to that point, Kanye West also in that same breath or maybe a little bit before mentioned how Rolling Loud partnered with Live Nation to help bring up the smaller artists. The reason the smaller artists matter almost more now than a Drake. Kendrick Lamar seems like he's a little bit bought and paid for, to be honest. And once again, if you're a Kendrick fan that made it this far, I'm sorry. If you're not a Kendrick fan, you think I'm being disrespectful. I don't know another thing to say that the whole machine was pushing Kendrick to beat Drake, and Drake is getting flamed and yet still has a number 1 song. So there's that. But he talked about the rise of the smaller artists because they have full control over what they do. And back to the full control part, because you already brought up Playboi Carti, Kanye literally said that everything that's in his songs, somebody's telling him to say. I thought that was fucking insane.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's that insane. I mean, I think that's true.
No, it makes sense. I'm saying it makes sense, but that is insane that someone of Kanye's caliber is saying one of the biggest artists who is selling crazy amounts of music and we went to his Rolling Loud show 3 years ago, was absolutely insane and like should never be able to perform and is bad for the United States of America for him to make music with what I saw. And for him to be like, everything that's in there is placed. He's told what to say. He's forced to have features on his project because he needs to do right by other artists that are kind of industry plants as well. It almost confirmed how we've always felt about Playboi Carti, but then it just shows that the reason they're mad at Drake is because Drake is so anti-establishment, which is they did all this against Drake to get him back in line, which once again, Kanye said. Kanye literally was like, the reason they want smaller artists to get bigger is because they can control them. Drake, they can't control. They give him $500 million, and after 3 years, they have to give him more. They have to double what they were going to give him. So they did all that to get him back in line, which now Drake is able to dive deep into Universal and the emails and subpoena anything. He's going to find shit.
Yeah, I mean, I want to go back to what you were saying about Cardi.
I went on a long rant there.
I've
Sorry.
never felt more strong about Cardi being pushed by the machine more than after his album dropped, because it's just like he is just such a nothing burger to me. Like, it's just so bought and paid for. Like, there's nothing really there. In 10 years, no one is really going to be talking about Cardi. No one's going to be playing his music. It's just there's nothing there. He could have been a good artist. I'm sure he could have been. But like whatever he is now, waiting 4 years to drop whatever he just dropped, and like even Ye said it, he took 4 of his songs that were, or maybe that was Travis
Scott.
Sorry, that was Travis. But again, very similar to Cardi.
Yeah,
Travis.
same world.
It's like same world, bought and paid for. Everything.
Travis makes better music, though.
Travis does make a little bit better music. But again, Travis has just gotten away from everything. Like, I just don't. I've seen Travis live fucking 10 times, I think. Like, literally, I'm not even exaggerating. I think I've seen him 10 times live.
And it was probably the same performance
It is.
10 times.
It's the same performance. Yeah. It's the same fiend. Like, it's just like, bro, I don't care. I want to actually see someone perform. And to me, it's like when Kanye said that he just took 4 songs, threw them off the album, put it on, just re-recorded his vocals. I mean, that's crazy.
It's wild. All the things that go on, and everybody kind of knows this stuff's going on.
But why do you take Ye off the album? Because it's not like you're not going to get a play because of Kanye West. Like this interview, for example, everyone hates on Kanye, yet this interview is seen by tens of millions of people in a couple days.
You know exactly why he took it off. Because the corporations and the brands
that's what it is.
And his PR and his label are like, if you don't take him off, we're going to end you. Which is literally, once again, I'm using literally and actually a lot in this interview because it's actually going on. He said that Ty Dolla $ign was approached to come out against Kanye. This was after Donda Part 1. Is there a Part 2 Donda with Ty Dolla $ign?
No, Donda is not that.
So Ty Dolla $ign and Kanye had Vultures together. That's where the Part 1 and Part 2. So coming out of that, Ty Dolla $ign was approached by the Hidden Hand again. And they said, if you don't speak out against Kanye, we're going to cancel your tour and we're going to cut your artist that you have signed. So if people don't think that's happening to Drake or it's happened to other artists in the past, you're insane. Pretty much everybody has to go against Kanye if you're signed under any label, if you don't have full control what's going on. And it's wild that they're literally trying to end Kanye and they can't.
I mean, it is kind of crazy. I mean, fuck, dude. I might get fired from my job for talking about Kanye West. Honestly, like it is kind of crazy to think about that because people are so afraid to talk about things because these corporations own everything. They literally, that's like the cancellation, really. If a corporation has the power to be like, we will take all this shit away from you if you don't do this. And it's like, you know, at that point for Ty Dolla $ign, for example, they were threatening all the artists under him. It's not just affecting him. It's affecting 10, 20, 30 other people that are now being like, oh, fuck, he didn't do this one thing, so now I'm out of it. Like it's pretty crazy. And why do they want to silence Ye that bad? Like that means he's saying some shit that is impacting real shit. That means he's saying the real shit. They're not canceling you because you're lying. No one cares about a liar. Honestly, no one cares about a liar.
There's a reason why they're trying to cancel Drake, and they don't want him to look at all the documents and emails and subpoena executives at UMG. There's 100% a clear reason. But Ty Dolla $ign did speak out against Kanye. He did. And that's why Kanye said, I 137x'd his career after he agreed with him to tweet like, you know, Kanye's racist and I'm not or something. It was like supposed to be like the agreed upon tweet. And then he tweeted like mental health is a real thing. Like go get checked. And that's why Kanye was like, bro, what the fuck? Like that's obviously what somebody told him to tweet rather than what they agreed upon. So it just goes to show, man, like
I just think the mental health thing is like the easiest thing to say. Oh, they're crazy. Oh, this is that. Like one of the biggest fears I've ever heard in my life, there's a story of this lady who got like drugged and put in a mental hospital and then was like, this is like back in like the 30s, 40s, like before like technology was a real thing. She apparently got like kidnapped, drugged. they put her in a mental hospital, and then she was in the mental hospital for like 20 years, convincing them like, yo, I shouldn't be here. I'm not supposed to be here. And the doctors are like, oh, okay. Yeah, okay. That's what everyone says, type of shit. And it's like, Ye's kind of in that thing where it's like they're trying to throw him in a place where he's like, I don't need that. He was like, he talks about how he was misdiagnosed bipolar, taking all these different drugs, making him feel fucked up. That's what the machine wants, but the machine wants him drugged up. The machine wants him fucking taking nitrous oxide. Like, those are what they want. They want him to be fucked up. They want him to, it's easier to be like, he's crazy. Look, he's on all these drugs. It's way easier.
Yeah, when Kanye moved up the ranks in my mind during this interview is when he came out and said Drake is a million times better and more important than Kendrick in the whole grand scheme of things. In this whole interview, because Kanye came out with all the people of the invisible hand, he was like, they're all going to be locked up someday. Every single one of them is going to be locked up because of what they've done, and everything's going to get exposed. It made me so bullish on Drake winning his lawsuit with UMG, with everything that Kanye's saying, because at the end of the day, Kanye used this reference that I don't think people understand, or it might go over people's heads. All the artists, me and Joshua sitting right here in front of you, we're all going against the machine in a way. But we're all on the same boat. And while we're trying to go against the machine, we're also going to fight with each other, which then blinds us from the actual objective of what we're trying to do, which is what you see with these artists when Drake and Kanye go back and forth, Drake and Kendrick go back and forth. And now I know there's some artists that are really,
but
like,
I don't think it's
machine.
that. I don't think it's that deep though, because like, for example, like, yeah, we're competing for things, but the reason why the machine always wins is they go, hey, little creator, you want lots of money? Okay, here's lots of money, but just don't say these things. Don't talk about these certain things. If this comes up, don't say anything, blah, 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 blah. Or if we do, say this. And that's where things get skewed because they just get bought and paid for. That's the Kendrick Lamar's. Kendrick wasn't always bought and paid for. It was when Drake, like you said, needed to get put back in line. They were like, who could do it? They offered J. Cole. J. Cole didn't accept. So then they went to Kendrick. Kendrick did accept. It's simple as that.
Which is back to the point when we said at the beginning with Rolling Loud partnering with Live Nation to help boost up all these small artists. It's because they're trying to find an artist that has that thing and has a little movement. They're like, that's our guy. That's our guy. Let's get him early, and it's over.
100%.
When they give you $100 million behind closed doors, and they're like, if you fucking get out of line, you're done. You're probably gonna be like, well, I just was dead fucking broke, sleeping on my homie's ground. I'm probably gonna just take the $100 million.
And a lot of the times, it really isn't that big of a deal, right? Like saying, like, beefing with Kanye, you're like, fuck it, whatever. I can keep everything that I have. All I got to do is beef with this guy. I mean, think about Kendrick, bro. All he had to do was beef with Drake. All he had to do was call him a pedophile. That's all he had to do.
Isn't it true? I don't know if you brought this up one day. Was it Not Like Us written like 4 years ago?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Well, that's another point I wanted to make about this
that
whole
doesn't
thing.
even make sense.
I don't think it was written 4 years ago, but all of his songs were already pre-written before the beef, which just shows how calculated this whole thing was.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, look how smart Kendrick was. No. It was the machine. It was Lucien Grange going, no, this is what we're going to do. You're going to write this song, going to write this song, going to write this song. We're going to keep poking at Drake until he does fire a shot. That's all it is. It's all coursed.
Because you brought up Lucien, Kanye literally said, he's like, if fucking Lucien sends anybody my way, he's like, I'm taking their heads clean off, quick. I just thought that was funny that Lucien does have an army of artists and entertainers and probably creators. I think his son actually controls a lot more creators, but it's just, man, it's so crazy for someone like Kanye to come out about all this. And we see a little bit of this. We do live a little bit of this world. So it doesn't seem super crazy where it's like, if you live in middle America and never see this shit, it might be like bigger, but it's just wild. I just really hope if you made it this far in the podcast, if you just clicked on this, you were like, these guys are fucking idiots. I really encourage everybody to go listen to the podcast to listen to the Kanye interview with an open mind and actually take notes and listen to what he's trying to say, because at the end of the day, it's crazy. But Joshua brought up this quote the other day, and I remember telling him years ago, the guy who sleeps with a samurai sword in his bed is crazy all but one night. And that's what Kanye's living. He's crazy right now until Drake wins his lawsuit and all these documents come about that, Yeah, they were pushing Not Like Us. Yeah, they did put Kendrick in this place to do it. Yeah, they didn't want to give fucking Drake $900 million, a $1 billion contract 3 years after they just gave him $500 million. When that comes out, Kanye's going to be a lot less crazy to the world.
I mean, that's what happens with the internet. Like, everything is becoming more transparent with things. Like, it's harder to hide shit. And, like, it's kind of a good thing for Kanye. Like Kanye said, he's like, I've never killed nobody, so they can't get me. And that's kind of his thing. Like, the reason why all these rappers that are getting in trouble, and that's my big thing, like Lil Baby's about to get a RICO charge. My big thing is, and Zachary just made a video about this the other day, about Sexy Red being a CIA informant. All of these rappers are informants. They are all operatives. They're all CIA, FBI, Lucian Grange operatives. Like, that's all they are. And they are planted to do things for messaging, everything in between. They do it to your movies. They do it to the music. And they have content creators that do it. Like, there's every aspect of every medium getting hit. There's radios, there's podcasts, everything. They are pushing their narrative to get people to do what they want, or put certain types of people to be staying in certain places. Like, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. And they own everything from top to bottom. They own the fucking food. They own the prisons. They own the record labels. They own the movie studio. They own everything. They own everything from top to bottom. And it just makes you think that when Kanye says that these artists are slaves and all these things, like, he is really meaning that if Lucian Grange tells you to do something, he says jump, you have to say how high. And that's just a reality for 99% of artists, other than maybe Drake and other than maybe Kendrick. Or
there's probably like 4 artists that have real say.
Drake, Kanye, Taylor Swift, maybe Jay-Z.
Yeah, that's actually probably a good list.
I mean, honestly,
Yeah, that's probably a good list.
Like, that's true as day. That's what it is. And I think outside of that, they
maybe
are
Eminem?
listening.
Eminem, maybe?
Sure, Eminem's probably up there, but like, it makes me think though, like, Dr. Dre, when Kendrick Lamar won the Grammy, like won Grammys this year, Dr. Dre's hugging, hand fiving fucking Lucian Grange, which makes me think the Lucian Grange still owns Dr. Dre, which makes me think
Eminem.
Exactly. So that's my thing. And not to say that Eminem's still streaming like a motherfucker. The guy still is top 10 in streams, and really
top 10, top 5.
Exactly. And he's dropped albums, but come on.
It's just stuff from 1999 and 2000.
Exactly.
But back to your point about these rappers being agents, he called Playboi Carti distinctly an agent. He literally was like, Playboi Carti is an agent, which makes just so much sense.
100% it is.
Even because Kanye went to his concert at Rolling Loud, and his reaction to his performance was the same thing as our reaction. He literally was like, what the fuck is going on? It's literally brain rot. It's literally devil worshiping at his concert.
It's like literally a satanic ceremony that he does. And same with Travis too, bro. It's like they're like the image they're trying to create, like even the outfits they wear, they're trying to like seem like they're not just the average person. These people are average human beings that fucking sit around and do the same shit as everyone else. But they're like making themselves not that.
I also want to go back to you saying Kanye might be the only artist with freedom, like one of the 5 artists that actually has real freedom. It might be now, but he also brought up that Jay-Z owns way more of his catalog than he does.
Yeah.
And that's just probably his earlier work, which is what's streaming, which is his biggest streaming. I thought that was insane.
I did see that. And then, again, this might not be true. It might be true. But Charlemagne the God was talking on Breakfast Club saying that he talked to a bunch of insiders and said that Jay-Z, in fact, doesn't own Ye's catalog. But then it made me think, why would Kanye say that? If not, now it could be a stab at Jay-Z. Maybe at one point he did own it and he sold it. I don't know. But, and again, Charlemagne the God probably bought and paid for by said machine.
Yeah,
but
1,000%.
So that's what also made me think that. And he definitely doesn't like Kanye, so he's obviously going to stick up for Hove. Also, both New York guys, so probably makes more sense. But I just wanted to say that contrary as well. Charlemagne on the Breakfast Club said that Hove doesn't own his masters. So I don't know what way or not, which makes me think
some fucking random LLC with no name attached to it owns Kanye West's catalog more than Kanye does, and it's probably attached to Jay-Z or someone very close to Jay-Z.
Right. And that's how I think of it as well.
Which is the world of smoke and mirrors.
No,
Everything's owned by fucking
but
3 people.
Listen,
everybody.
That's what it is. And I mean, the Ian Carroll guy who was on
Joe Rogan.
Great work he does. But he made a video about how BlackRock and the other two,
Fidelity,
and Vanguard, those 3 companies, they own everything, but then they also all own each other most. So like they can never lose. Like there's no way the whole world economy would have to collapse for these 3 to actually have anything happen.
I watched a green screen. It's funny you brought up BlackRock. I watched a green screen about the subprime mortgage crisis that happened in 2008. Actually got started when Larry Fink created his company back in like 1988. He started a like toxic asset company. So which was the rise of what collapsed the world in 2008. He was single-handedly the start of that because he wanted to inject all the money into banks to make banks just unstoppable and be able to do anything and own everything. So just back to the point of 3 people, 3 banks own everything. Go to the fucking grocery store. That's 4 companies own everything in that grocery store. Everything in life is fake and it's all smoke and mirrors. You can go down an aisle, see 47 brands. I will bet my life that 3 brands actually own every brand down that aisle.
Let's transition really quick before we wrap up. Deep Thoughts, Lil Durk, album drop. He's still in prison right now.
Sold 67K first week.
67K first week, which really isn't bad at all for a hip hop album. What were your first thoughts on it?
It's what I told you. I think Lil Durk is the easiest listen in all of rap music. It's, you know what you're going to get. It's consistent. It's quality. It sounds good. I will say the project was supposed to come out like months before, and now it just dropped. So that makes me feel a little iffy about it. You kind of lose some momentum with that. And then I'll also add, just like the Young Thug project he dropped when he was in prison, I think a lot of these songs wouldn't have made the project if he wasn't in prison. So there's kind of like there's songs that are kind of the throwaways make it in because he's not able to record and or, you know, doesn't have time to test something else or, you know, whatever, have a couple features. Cause he only had a couple features and a lot of those songs came out well before the project.
Yeah.
Like Late Checkout with Huncho came out literally 2 months ago.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably the best song off the album too.
Yeah, which it probably is.
But here's my thing. I completely agree with you. I think this album was a lot of the throwaways. I'm obviously a big Durk fan.
I still like it. I
like the album, but it's not a classic.
It's not my
Durk.
favorite.
No, it's not my favorite. Like, again, I completely agree with you. If he wasn't in prison, I think we have a completely different album. You know, I think what happened was this is one of those things where you go to prison, you're like, fuck, I could really use 100K album sales right now. Pay for my lawyer fees, make sure my shit's right, keep the fucking thing going a little bit. He's got people that work for him, blah, 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 blah. He still needs to pay bills. So that's kind of how I see this as. Yeah, I mean, I hope Durk comes home. But if Durk comes home, he's a Fed. So that's he probably already is.
I mean, he's probably already documented a Fed because a murder charge just got swept under the rug and no one ever talked about it. Like,
and I
5
still
years
love
ago.
Durk. I still love Durk.
Yeah,
I'm still a Durk fan.
I mean, I'll give him
still a Durk
information to snitch on me. I'm cool with that. I like Durk.
I mean, I love Durk. I love Durk.
This makes me think we should like record 30 podcasts in case we ever go to prison that can drop when we're in prison.
Wouldn't work like that.
Why?
I think podcast and music completely different because we're talking about current topics.
I know, but we got to talk about other
other
things. We got to figure out a way. This is our insurance policy to pay our lawyers.
I mean, shit. If this podcast made us money, dog, we would for sure have this bitch ironclad. What you would do is you'd have interviews. You'd just have you bank a bunch of interviews. See, that is how you build up songs.
Interesting.
But like us just talking here, us making shows, no. Unless it was like Mount Rushmore season like they do on Pardon My Take and we just do a bunch of Mount Rushmores. But we're not Pardon My Take, so I don't think we're going to get millions of listeners to draft random things.
Yeah, but I think Lil Durk made a good project. Nav also dropped the same day. I haven't listened to any of that, but that's outselling it at this point.
It's outselling Durk. I mean, that makes sense.
It is outselling Durk.
Yeah, listen.
By like 4K first week.
Nav is very calculated. If Nav's only selling like 60, 70K, 80K, that's pretty light for Nav. Nav's normally like well over 100K
I feel like they used to be higher sales back in the day. It seems like something's kind of reset.
It's the bundles
right now.
The bundles made it go further. So you used to be able to like buy a t-shirt. So like that's why like the merch was so big for artists. oh, you buy a t-shirt. And then they'll be like, well, the t-shirt also is an album. So if you buy a t-shirt, you have to buy the album. And that's why the t-shirts will be like $50. So you have to buy the physical album and the digital album. So it's like, okay, here you go. So that every t-shirt they sell, every sweatshirt they sell, every individual one. So say I buy a shirt, a hoodie, sweatpants, and a backpack. All of those have individual albums. So one person could buy fucking 10 albums if you bought a bunch of merch.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's why it was kind of unfair. I think now you can still do merch, but I think it's like one per customer. You can only sell one album. So if they buy $200 worth of shit or they buy $20 worth of shit, it only counts as one album. I think that made it a little more fair than people that would just be in there and your rich fans, your rich white fans could buy $3,000 worth of merch. They buy 20 albums, 50 albums from you. It's like, that's not fair to these underground artists that are hustling. They're still streaming a lot of numbers, still doing a lot of shit, but they can't push merch like the big people got.
That makes sense. But if you made it this far, drop a like, leave a comment, hit subscribe. Go check out the full Kanye and Akademiks interview if you haven't, to come up with your own opinion and or assumptions, whatever you want. But if you made it this far, we really appreciate it. We love you. Make sure you subscribe and share with friends. Until next time, peace.
I gotta stack out this gold. I tell you I'm on the road. About to get all this dough. Me and no fuck niggas know. I swear to God we the ghosts. This ain't the story they told. Man, if you know, then you know. I never had to tell my dogs that we on rough for greatness. They paper getters, they want money more than they want fake shit.